What's up guys, Ryan here, and just like you, I was very curious to know how the new Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 stands up against the little over half-a-year-old Garmin Venu 2 Plus, and I used the 44mm size to do this comparison. So it's actually a little bigger than the Venu 2 Plus, which means the display is bigger too. And I'm talking about the difference between 33mm and 34.5mm, and both watches have quite big bezels. But here's the thing, when you look at the Venu 2 Plus, these markings on the bezel actually make good use of it. So it's not in your face as much as Samsung's bezel is, but obviously with the Watch 5 you have the touch sensitive bezel, so it's not completely useless either. The funny thing about both of these watches is that neither one is a true upgrade from their predecessor. See, prior to the new Venu 2 Plus, there was the Venu 2 watch, which was just a little bigger than the new one and had no mic and speaker, but otherwise identical to the Venu 2 Plus. And you could say the same thing about the Galaxy Watch 5, which doesn't have more RAM, storage, or better CPU. The only real changes are a bigger battery and a skin temperature sensor. Well, at least it got a bigger battery because the Garmin watch instead got a smaller size than its predecessor Venu 2. Regardless, both watches are really comfortable to wear all day long. It's just that the silicone strap of the Venu 2 Plus, despite being thinner, sometimes irritates my skin. And if you're a lefty and want to wear the watch on your right wrist, then with Watch 5 you can actually rotate the orientation of the watch to position the keys on the left, something Garmin is yet to offer. Another big difference is that the Garmin watch has Corning Gorilla Glass 3, but the Samsung watch is shipped with sapphire crystal. Now, these both provide excellent protection for your watch, but the Gorilla Glass 3 is more impact resistant than sapphire. On the other hand, sapphire is more scratch resistant. And let's face it, on any given day, you're more likely to scratch your watch than to bump it against something and shatter the entire display. And speaking of display, both have an AMOLED type with beautiful, nice looking colors. It's just that the Galaxy Watch 5 has more vibrant colors, and the resolution is also slightly higher than the resolution of the Venu 2 Plus. But otherwise, the UI of both of these watches is quite smooth, but the UI of the Wear OS of the Galaxy Watch feels more at home as an Android user, which by the way you should be if you want to use the Galaxy Watch, because you need the Galaxy Wearable app, Samsung Health app, and if you want to use the ECG and blood pressure, if I'm not mistaken, you need to have a Samsung Galaxy phone, so then you could install the Samsung Health Monitor app on it to be able to use the ECG and blood pressure monitor. But going back to the UI and its performance, the Galaxy Watch 5 can sometimes be a little more laggy than the Garmin watch, and the workaround is to reduce the animation time in the settings, which you can find if you turn on the developer mode. And in terms of the ecosystem, like I mentioned with the Galaxy Watch, if you want to use all of its features, you'd be essentially dealing with 3 apps, and with Garmin you're gonna have the same issue as there is the Garmin Connect app, and then if you want to have access to other apps and watch faces, then you'd need to install the Connect IQ store app. I just want one app that's the single source of truth, as opposed to having to deal with multiple ones. So this is something that I think both are failing to deliver the right way. But there's a big difference between these two watches in terms of the ecosystem. If you look at the apps available to install on these two devices, you can tell that the Wear OS of Google is clearly the winner here, with lots of more options in the App Store. And so with Garmin, which obviously has its own operating system, the options are more limited. And in fact, not even all of the apps you see in the Connect IQ store are necessarily compatible with the Venu 2 Plus, because Garmin has a lot of different smartwatches with different requirements. And most of these apps are really fitness oriented, and they're nothing more than some data fields. But I've also had a hard time finding a good watch face that I like, that actually works perfectly on the watch, because I often find myself installing a watch face that is supposedly compatible with this watch, and yet it slows the heck out of the watch that I just uninstall them immediately. Another big issue here is that sometimes when you install an app, it just goes to queue and it never gets installed. And this is quite a common problem with Garmin users. So in short, there are more useful, better, and reliable apps available to install on the Galaxy Watch 5. And so if you want to install lots of apps on your watch, the Venu 2 Plus is clearly the wrong choice. I mean, even if you want a simple calculator, you have to install from the Connect IQ store, but with the Watch 5 already you get a calculator app on it. But to counter that absolute win for the Galaxy Watch, I'm afraid if you're an iPhone user, you can't use that watch, but you can use the Venu 2 Plus instead. However, just so you know, there's this limitation with iPhone where you can't really use the quick reply feature of the Venu 2 Plus. which you could otherwise use if you had an Android phone. And this brings us to the next point, which is messaging and making phone calls on these two devices. Based on my test, the Samsung Watch has a really good speaker given its size. The Garmin Watch also has a good speaker, but just not as loud. But you can still make phone calls on both of them. But honestly, if I'm not in a quiet place, I'm not gonna make or take any calls with any of them unless I have to. And for me, it's been usually when I'm in the house and I'm in one room and my phone's in some other place, that I just take or make calls if I really have to. And the mic quality is also good on both. In fact, I've done a mic test in the Galaxy Watch 5 review video that you can watch after this video. And by the way, remember when I said that there aren't a lot of apps available for the Venu 2 Plus compared to the Galaxy Watch 5? Well, one of the features that I used a ton was the voice recorder that comes with the Galaxy Watch 5. So if you're someone who needs to make a lot of voice memos, the Galaxy Watch 5 makes it so easy. Although with the Venu 2 Plus, you can also use the assistant to start the voice recorder on your phone. But with the Galaxy Watch, even if you don't have the phone with you, you can still record your voice. And as soon as the watch is connected back to the phone via Bluetooth, your voice is gonna get transferred to your phone's internal storage. So again, it seems like the Galaxy Watch 5 is the winner here. But to put the cherry on top, with the Galaxy Watch 5, you can also write text messages directly on the watch. However, with the Garmin watch, you can only use the quick replies, which, by the way, can be customized. Unless, of course, you use the assistant again to write text messages. And another unfortunate thing with the Venu 2 Plus is that the messages and notifications and what have you cannot be scrolled to the very end if they're too lengthy. So let's say somebody is texting you and you can see that on your watch and they keep texting you. So what happens is that their new text, their new message gets added to the original one. So that original message gets bigger and bigger, and then you just can't scroll to the very end because it gets truncated. One specific watch that in my opinion does this right is the Fitbit Sense, where you can see each message separately, if I remember correctly, and never cuts off any emails or notifications, even if they're lengthy. You can watch this video to learn more about it. I think so far the Galaxy Watch 5 has been better in many ways than the Venu 2 Plus. So maybe it's time to talk about the battery life so we can turn things around from here on. So I did a simple test. I charged both watches to 100% at 7:30 in the morning. Then at noon, the Venu 2 Plus had 100% charge, whereas the Galaxy Watch 5 had 86%. At 8 p.m., the Garmin watch had 90%, but the Galaxy Watch had 61% battery left. The very next day at 4 p.m., the Venu 2 Plus had 63%, but the Galaxy Watch 5 had 24%, and that's when I charged it because I knew if I didn't, it wouldn't last until the next day. But I didn't stop there. Day 3 at 7 a.m., the Venu 2 Plus had 50% charge and the Galaxy Watch 5 had 82%. Day 4 at 1 p.m., the Venu 2 Plus had 30% charge left, but the Galaxy Watch had only 25% left. And again, I had to recharge it because again, it wouldn't last until the next day. But I didn't stop there. Day 5 at 7 a.m. the Venu 2 Plus had 13% battery left, and that's when I decided it's time to charge it. And even if I hadn't charged it, it would have easily lasted me that whole day. So yeah, I get anywhere between 5 to 7 days, and if I use the GPS and other features more often, it comes down to about 3 days for me. Everybody has a different usage pattern. And speaking of GPS and stuff, I can say that it's kind of a tie because the Garmin watch, despite being capable, doesn't show GPS maps. But the Samsung watch does have Google Maps on it, which is cool. But unless you're having the LTE version, you're gonna need to have your phone with you all the time if you want to use the Google Maps. But based on what I've heard, with a software update, Samsung's gonna add the offline navigation to Galaxy watches, which if or when it becomes true, it's a game changer in my opinion. But the offline maps from third-party apps you can install on your Venu 2 Plus are simply not worth it in my opinion. And here's another thing that's really weird. Again, the Venu 2 Plus has a built-in compass inside, but there's just no compass app available to use that. It's only used internally for navigational purposes. Yes, they do have a navigation feature, which is nice, but it's not turn by turn. So let's say you want to go for a hike into the woods. Right before you start your journey, you can save your current location, and then on the way back, just navigate to that location so you won't get lost. But both are capable of tracking your outdoor walk and run with GPS, and both of them can automatically detect these activities. One of the big differences between these two watches in terms of fitness tracking is that if you want to track your strength training, then with the Galaxy Watch 5, there are individual exercises that you need to select. So let's say you want to do dumbbell curls, then in the watch, you select arm curls, and then it can track that specific workout. And later in the app, you can see its details and add a note and pictures. But what I don't like is that you can't edit your workout. So if, for example, the rep counts need to be edited, I didn't find a way I could do it. But with the Venu 2 Plus, not only can you do the preloaded complete workouts, but also you can create a custom workout for yourself for a specific day and add them to your calendar. For example, you can create an arms day workout routine, which isn't limited to only one exercise, but you can add the whole set of exercises and your rep counts. But of course, the target can be duration or calories burned, not just the reps. And to put the cherry on top, and this is my favorite, and if you watched any of my previous videos, you should know that I pretty much every time use this feature. You can actually start your session without selecting any preloaded programs or doing your own custom programs. But by simply going to the Strength app and starting, the watch will automatically, hands-free, track your exercises. Meaning it will track, track, and pause. So let's say you start with bench presses and you do 10 reps, it will track that, and as soon as you're done, it automatically pauses and starts the rest timer. And let's say after that, you do squats. It will automatically start counting the reps without the need for you to do anything or pressing any buttons, and so on. This is by far one of my favorite features of this watch. Does it work perfectly? No, of course not. The rep counts aren't always perfect, and the type of exercise detected isn't always right either. But at least I can go to the Garmin Connect app and edit these exercises and add new ones if it missed some of them entirely. And something else I definitely think Garmin does better is the stress management. So both can track stress, but I never got any high stress alerts from Samsung. And most of the time, according to the watch, my stress is average or below average. But with Garmin, I get those alerts and I really like it. And related to that, Garmin has 4 different breathwork exercises for different purposes, whereas Samsung has a generic one where you can actually customize to an extent. So the question is, which one's better? I think I prefer the preloaded ones by Garmin, and I'm more likely to use one of those techniques than using the simple one from Samsung. But really, both are fine. Just want to share with you the difference. And now that we're talking about the health features of these watches, the Galaxy Watch 5 has ECG, blood pressure monitor, and also body weight composition, plus a skin temperature sensor. Garmin has none of those. In fact, I don't think any Garmin watches has those features at all. What you do get with the Venu 2 Plus is a health snapshot that lets you quickly in 2 minutes check some stats about your heart rate, stress, SpO2, respiration rate, and your HRV. But unfortunately, weirdly enough, Garmin doesn't provide any longer term insights in the form of charts or something. And that's why this wealth of data can be meaningless long term. You can of course use the long-term charts of your stress, heart rate, and other metrics separately, but nothing more cohesive. But at least with Garmin, I know I can trust these metrics, however meaningless they might be. Like when I went for a treadmill run, the heart rate on the Samsung watch was just jumping around. It didn't make any sense, but it was way more stable on my Garmin watch. Even something as simple as counting my steps seemed more realistic on the Venu 2 Plus watch. But that doesn't make the Galaxy Watch a bad watch. It's just that Garmin is more accurate. They've been making smartwatches for ages. And perhaps a more fair comparison is Galaxy Watch 5 Pro versus Venu 2 Plus. But the thing is, aside from a bigger battery and better navigational features like turn-by-turn navigation, the core of the two watches are exactly the same. They come with the same specs, neither is more efficient or powerful than the other, but at the end of the day, there is no perfect smartwatch out there. Not even the Venu 2 Plus is perfect. So if you want to learn more about this watch and some of its problems, subscribe and watch this video next, and why not this one too, just for good measure.